Hello guys, it's Ryan Ho back with another video. Today I want to talk about the Audeze Maxwell and why I think it is the best gaming headset slash even the best headset for listening to music. Now the thing that makes this headset so unique in my opinion is the fact that one, it's actually made by an audio company. So Audeze is an audio first company that happened to make a gaming headset versus a lot of gaming companies that make headsets and make audio products, if that makes any sense. And Audeze has 4,500 like audiophile grade headphones that they make, so they really know how to make drivers and kind of the tech. So that's the first thing I think that makes this sound way better than other headsets, because they have planar magnetic drivers. And these type of drivers, I have other headsets that have planar magnetic drivers that really kind of show you how amazing the tech is versus a dynamic driver. They have what they call really low distortion, but what you really hear is that there's a lot of stillness between the notes, and the kind of notes are played really fast. They start and stop really quickly. But the other benefit of a planar magnetic driver is because the distortion is really low, you can actually change or EQ the headphone to your liking and change the tuning. So the other thing about the headset as well is because it's a wireless headset, right? This thing has like literally every single type of connectivity that anybody could ever want. So like, if you wanted to play this competitive gamer with low latency, you have the 2.4 dongle right here that you can connect. So you have low latency gaming, which is great. If you don't care about gaming, you're not a gamer, and you just want to have good audio, this thing has a Bluetooth. So you can take it on the go with you and do Bluetooth pairing to your phone and get high res audio that way, because it also supports like LDAC. So really it kind of covers those bases as well. And if you're like me, who really wants nice quality audio connected to my PC, because one, I want to be able to take advantage of the 24-bit, I would connect it, wired to this headphone. And then I also don't have to worry about charging it ever because cable is constantly connected. Obviously, this thing has an 80-hour battery life, so does that really matter? Probably not, because the battery life is so long, you probably don't really need to charge it that often, but it has you covered there. And even then, it also supports 3.5 millimeters, so just a normal like headphone jack type of connection to any devices. So if you want to connect it to your Switch, your controller, whatever device, the good old fancy old way, it also covers that, which is really amazing that it has all these connectivity options. And really, if you look at it compared to this is the HyperX Cloud Orbit S. This is their, older line of gaming headsets. They had this one, they had the Audeze Mobius, and they had the Audeze Penrose. The Audeze Maxwell is really the version 2 of those headsets in my opinion, because it takes all the tech of those three and combines it into one. Obviously, it doesn't have the head tracking features and the kind of 3D audio that kind of came with it. Really, not a lot of people use those features anyway, so I think that was kind of a cost cutting slash like people just weren't really using it. And this device really has all the connectivity that those devices have all in one headset. And then they also improved like the build, right? So like this thing was made of plastic, mine cracked actually, versus this is made of metal. And they kind of reinforced all the joints that, were more prone to breaking. So this is a much more sturdier headset. But of course, the cost of making it a more sturdy headset, in my opinion, is that it does weigh a little bit more than the predecessor. And I think that's why the predecessors were made of plastic, because to reduce the weight, they kind of changed the build. So now the weight is definitely the downside, but you just have to have a stronger neck, and you just get a free neck workout at the same time. So it might be worth it if you're looking for that. But yeah, so because planar magnetic drivers have really low distortion, and you can use custom EQs in this to achieve a good tuning, it's able to get to tunings that sound really clear without sounding kind of distorted and weird. I feel like that's one of the benefits that a lot of people know about planars that make them really good to like EQ. So that's definitely another advantage that this headset has over the traditional dynamic drivers like this Logitech over here, is that. And of course, we'll talk about more about the sound, but anyways, please like and subscribe down below. Help my videos out. I actually bought the Maxwell myself, and thank you to Audeze, because I actually bought the Xbox version, but because I got delayed, I had to switch mine to the PS5 so I can get you guys this headset to review, really. So anyways, let's talk about this headset. All right, so let's unbox the Audeze Maxwell. So the interesting thing about it is it actually uses Bluetooth 5.3. It has 80 hours of battery life. It also has low latency wireless, and of course the 90mm drivers. The box it comes in is pretty standard. All right. Ooh. So we got the Maxwell. Open the top. We have kind of the instructions of how to use it on the right. Then we have this nice foam. So at least this thing comes with nice foam to kind of keep it protected. So we got the wireless dongle, which is a USB-C. Then we have the headset. So let's get this out. Ooh, over here, it feels nice and cold because it's made of metal, I guess, not plastic. Box is like exactly, reminds me of the HyperX Cloud Orbit S or the Penrose, basically. The design pretty similar, but we have the cables, I assume, back here. All right, so we have a USB-C to USB adapter. Then we have a 3.5 millimeter, 3.5 millimeter. Then we got a USB-C to USB-C if you want to charge it / connect it to your PC. And then we got the microphone that it comes with. So let's talk about the build quality of the Maxwell. So the Maxwell is built of a lot of aluminum and metal. So, you know, this band up here is nice and sturdy. The joints right here are reinforced with metal as well. And even down to here, this is metal too. And then only when you get to the cups, they're made of plastic. But, you know, plastic isn't necessarily bad either. It keeps the weight down because this is pretty heavy already. This is about 500 grams. So this is going to be a little heavy on your head. But, you know, if you have a strong neck like I do, then you'll be fine. So, you know, if you kind of buy this, you'll just get a free workout for your neck. So that's always a positive if you think about that. So here we have the mic mute button. It's kind of big and it's very texturized, so you can really feel it. I think it's really nice in the sense that when you're kind of trying to get to the button, it's really easy to kind of reach for. However, I mean, aesthetically, it might look kind of ugly like this, but usability wise, it's really good. Same with the power button, it's really big and it's easy to kind of feel and touch so you know where it is. And then moving down to the rest, so over here we have the noise suppression button, and then we have the indicator letting you know which mode it's in. And clicking this kind of swaps through your noise suppression for your microphone. Then here we have the included mic that goes here, which is also detachable, so you can just take that out. And then we have the USB, so you can kind of connect this to your PC USB and listen to audio that way without having to charge your battery, or you can also charge your battery that way as well while you're listening and using the headset. And then we have the aux, where you can connect it to your DAC amp or whatever, your PC directly, or your controller, whatever you need. And then of course we have the microphone, so this way you can kind of change your microphone and, you know, increase and decrease it. You can also control your side tone by clicking it. All right, so here we have the volume dial. So you can increase and decrease your volume using that. You can also play the next song or go back with it if you push and scroll it. And then if you double click and then scroll it, you can also change your EQ settings. So you can change it from like the Audeze preset to like bass boost mode. All right, so if you look at the USB dongle of the Maxwell, you can actually see that it has a switch for connecting to PS5 or for PC, so make sure you switch whichever one you're using. So yeah, so the rest of the kind of the comfort of this headset is honestly pretty comfortable besides the weight, right? But right here we have one of those kind of, you know, straps that kind of rest on your head, and then they actually include actual padding up here as well, so it's like extra padding here. So between both of these paddings, you really aren't going to feel like the top headband kind of, you know, weighing down. It feels pretty comfortable in my opinion. And then of course we also have the adjustability, so you can take these out and kind of adjust them whichever way you want. So you, depending on your head shape, you can, you know, push it up or push it down. And then these pads, like I said, are really just kind of soft. They're really nice leather. They're big, so I think they'll fit a lot of ears. And yeah, I found them just nice and plushy. And they're kind of contoured, so, you know, it's bigger in the back. In the front, it's thinner, so it does help kind of shape it on your head and not feel as, I guess, awkward. And then we have the kind of metal kind of rods over here. So obviously we have both swivel and pivoting, so this thing could really kind of be adjusted whichever way you want. And you can also rest it on your neck like this if you're not using it. So really it has all the necessary adjustments to be a comfortable headset on your head. So that's always nice to see. So now let's compare the Cloud Orbit S to the new Audeze Maxwell, right? So you can see, first of all, the ear cup sizes are just completely different. This one fits way more ears and it's bigger. The other thing that you notice is the change in kind of the way that you remove the pads. So these pads are so easy. You just turn it and then it comes off. So you literally just turn it, which is really nice. And you can kind of see the driver design through this. And it actually looks different from the prior one. Whereas the prior one, it has more bars and then it doesn't have that weird square in the middle. So I'm not exactly sure the purpose of that, but you can see that they're designed very similar, but still some differences and some improvements have been made. All right, so let's do a sound test of the microphone while we go over the software. So there's 3 different modes. So this is with noise suppression off. Let's do a type test. And this is what it sounds like while I'm talking and typing. Now let's turn the noise suppression low on. So this is what it sounds like with low suppression on low, and doing type test while I talk. And this is what it sounds like while I'm typing. And yeah, so now let's move on to noise suppression on high. All right, so this is what it sounds like with noise suppression on high. So let's do a type test while I'm talking. So I'm typing and talking. Let me know if you can hear it because it's pretty strong. And yeah, I find the noise suppression to be quite impressive, honestly. Like you can barely hear me typing, which is pretty cool. Anyway, so let's take a closer look at the software. So for software, we have the side tone. So for me, the side tone is you can hear yourself while you're talking through the mic. I don't like it because it kind of pumps audio through your headset and makes your sound a little bit like interfered with. So I just recommend people not use side tone. Obviously, some people like it, then just use it. But the game and chat mix, you can kind of just, choose how you want to balance it. Really easy to use. Then we have the different EQs over here. But basically, Audeze is the default one. I find it a little boring. I like bass boost better because it boosts the bass. Of course, I feel like the bass boost doesn't even boost it that much. It could be a little bit more. The treble boost is fine, but I would just go with immersive because it's basically the bass boost plus the treble boost combined, so it makes it sound a little bit more V-shaped and more exciting with that emphasis in the bass and the treble. So I think that's the one I would recommend most people. Competition has low bass amount, and I find it really boring, so I wouldn't really use it. And then the footsteps, and I just found the footsteps to make voices sound a little unnatural, but I mean, it sounds fine if you're trying to like enhance footsteps, but I just rather just use immersive in my opinion. And the presets don't work right now, but I'll make a separate video for that. And then moving over, you can kind of show your firmware and see if you need to update it or not. And then you have auto shutdown, voice prompts, and a volume limiter. And then over here we have the power, battery, and microphone and what you're connected with. All right, so let's talk about sound, right? So the first thing is this headset is a wireless headset, so it has its own built-in DAC and amp. So that's one of the things I like about it, is because like people always ask, what's a good DAC amp? But like for this, you don't really have to wonder. You can just use what's built in it and it will sound good. And so in my testing, I really just use this connected wired through the USB-C and using the Audeze immersive preset, because I think that's the one that sounds the best. In my opinion, what I hear from sound is starting from down low in the basses. The bass of this is really good. You can hear the sub bass down low. It's really good. The bass in general is not really that elevated, at least in the normal Audeze preset. Even in the bass boost preset and the immersive preset, they do increase the bass, but it really only increases the lower bass and the sub bass region. So you're still not getting that like mid bass punch, around like the 200 and like the 150 like hertz regions. And I mean, I understand why they didn't do it, because around those regions it can make it sound muddy. But in my opinion, like I expected a little bit more punch down there, and that's what I wanted. So I can't wait until they let you do the, your own presets and kind of choose your own tuning. So I'll probably do another video just showing what type of tuning I achieved with this when that comes out. Now, moving on to the mid-range where the vocals are at, like, ooh, the mid-range is really, really good on this headset. Like the tuning, even in the normal Audeze preset, was pretty good. But in the immersive preset, I really feel like it kind of brings out the treble more. So like when it comes to a lot of like the female vocalists, I felt like they're almost a little reserved on the normal Audeze preset, but with the immersive, they kind of pop out a little bit more. They stand out more. They sound a little bit more detailed because they're emphasized a little bit more. So in my opinion, that's why I like the immersive preset, because they make them pop. But of course, I think if you were looking for a more like smooth and pleasant listening experience, then I would just stick with like the Audeze preset or the bass boost most likely, because those are like very kind of a calmer, tamer type of sound. You have to like really listen to this to understand like how good it sounds. But like even compared to the old model, so this is the HyperX Cloud Orbit S, this sounds a little different from this one. But the first thing that I mentioned earlier was like the extra like mid bass punch. Like this one actually had that in the flat mode, versus that's why I noticed in this one it didn't have as much of that mid bass. And of course this one also has a little bit less treble emphasis than this one does. I feel like even in flat, it doesn't sound as clean as the Maxwell. So I feel like maybe that has something to do with the kind of the new drivers and the retuning, because I do notice that this Maxwell has more sub bass and as well has more treble or cleaner treble in general. So I feel like that is definitely an improvement I see. And even across for like the detail, it does sound just slightly more resolving. I wouldn't say the difference is huge, but there's definitely a slight improvement in my opinion over the predecessor, and that's really nice to see. So the other thing about player magnetic headphones and the Maxwell in general is that because they have larger drivers, like 90mm drivers, it really does affect what people call the sound stage, or how big things sound. And in my opinion, things do sound pretty over and around your ear because of that for this headset, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it, because more dynamic drivers are little smaller drivers that are playing like in your ear, and because of that they can't create that effect as well as planars in my opinion. And of course there's always what people call like the wall of sound effect from a planar, but basically because the whole driver is bigger, it's moving, like when it plays a bass note, it sounds like it's like coming at you all in one direction at the same time, versus like from a small point in your ear. And I always appreciate that aspect of planars as well, and that's definitely something you hear in this. And of course, when it comes to gaming, everyone always wants to know like how is it for like FPS gaming. That's where I talk about what we call imaging, or where kind of the sounds are coming from, the directionality. And of course for me, I always just test this by playing games. So I play Valorant in deathmatch or in normal games, and you can really kind of hear, if the enemy's in front of me, is it like I hear the enemy? Do they actually come in front of me or a little bit off center? And that's kind of how I judge the imaging. And for the Maxwell, it does really well. Now, I'm not gonna say it's the best imaging headphone I've ever heard, but it's like one of the best. Like it's really good. Like when the enemy appears in front of me, it sounds like the enemy is a little bit off centered, just a little bit. It's not much, but it's just a little off centered. But basically the enemies sound like they're basically in front of you. So I had no problems kind of locating my enemies, finding them, listening to their footsteps, and kind of, knowing when they're gonna pop out in front of me to, get the kill, right? So for me, I didn't have an issue. So I definitely think this is a good headset. And I think I would argue that, imaging is one aspect, but the other thing that this does is it has a good tuning and it has really good detail. And so like a lot of other headsets can't really compare to the detail, let alone the tuning of this headset. So you combine both of those plus a good imaging, it really is easy to tell where the enemies are. And I think that's something that this headset does really well. Now let's compare the sound of the Audeze Maxwell to the Logitech G735, right? So honestly, in my opinion, these two headsets are very different, because one is going for a very lightweight, comfortable thing, and the other one is going for kind of maximum kind of build quality and going for more of a sound quality perspective, versus the Logitech sounds good, but definitely doesn't sound as good as the Audeze Maxwell. The Maxwell definitely takes the cake for the sound. But in the end, I think it's really depending on the person. Like this one is a little bit more stylish looking as well, and it's lighter. So I would feel like a lot of people who are kind of gaming for long hours and want something comfortable gravitate for this. And of course, if you just want, the best sound quality you can get in a headset, then I would just say, yeah, get the Maxwell. So in conclusion, do I recommend the Audeze Maxwell? Obviously I do. The reason why is, one, the sound quality is absolutely amazing. Compared to other gaming headset, this is already the best sounding gaming headset for sure. The previous version was the best gaming headset. Now this one, with an upgrade, sounds even better and is definitely a must. Now, the other thing is the connectivity of this headset is just insane, right? You can really connect this any way you want. You could be a person who just appreciates music to someone who wants to play competitive gaming, people who just want to play story mode gaming. Whatever it is, this headset got you covered, because it's really that versatile. And the combination of just the ability to connect also with the software, you can kind of choose different tunings. It just kind of has something for everybody to use, and it's a very versatile device in my opinion. Now, the one downside of this headset is, of course, the weight, but that just means you have a weak neck, so you should just, work out a little bit more and you'll be fine. But besides that, in my opinion, this is the headset that people should be looking for and to try. Honestly, it really does sound that good, and I'm very happy to recommend this to you guys. And I'll be doing some more comparison to other headsets I have on this table. If you guys are interested, I also have some other headsets too that I could compare it to. But here's the HiFiMan HG6 SV2. It's a headset that's a planar and that's more traditional, doesn't have any of that digital tuning type of stuff. We have the Sennheiser and stuff, so keep a watch out for those comparisons if you guys are interested, and comment down below if you want to see some comparisons to some other headsets as well. Let me know down below. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe down below. Helps my videos out, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.